Hello, my name is Christian Götz. I founded the company Experteer 3 years ago together with Holtzbring Ventures under the premise that we can actually charge consumers, job seekers, for a job service online, which sounded kind of wild at that time because nobody in the world did that, and there was a host of sites that offer jobs, and they still are. So that was the key idea, and our kind of like guideline at that time, what helped us like go into that direction was a company called Parachute, which had a similar founding background, where people had learned to go into a subscription model. So that was 4 years ago, 3.5 years we launched, and since then we were really happy we made that decision. So the key thing that we actually do is it's a core business model innovation. We said normally in the job market, as one company that has a great job, it's paying a lot of money to some kind of media company, let it be a monster type company or a newspaper, and if it's a great job, there's 1,000 people that want it, and nobody is taking care of them, which is kind of an odd thing to think about. So we don't take a lot from one, we take a little money from a lot of people. So we reversed that model 180 degrees, which was pretty disruptive. The other thing we did is we said we positioned that service on the high end, because it's even more bizarre that the high end, highly educated, highly earning people are totally underserved in that element. While at the same time, recruiters, headhunters can search in a candidate database for free and can post jobs for free. So it was quite revolutionary for the recruitment industry. In terms of like competitive market at that time, on the one hand you see to the right, like kind of on the bottom right, the monster type, the job markets, and offline even the newspapers. On the left side we looked at things like business networks, which are kind of comparable service, where you can also go out and put your profile and you kind of can be identified by recruiters. At that time they didn't really offer jobs, which those platforms currently do, and we are positioned high end. So this is our competitive environment. In terms of players and in terms of salary, it's pretty important to understand in which segment of the market you're playing. Like, because at the end of the day, it's a consumer service category, and it's pretty important to understand how you position that. So that's one of the things we can do really well. You see there's 4 million people addressable market. That's the example for Germany. We're currently in most of the old Europe. That would be a customer base of 15, 16 million people that we can address with that service. Our consumer proposition, of course, is a bit different, but just a quick question. Who in the room currently is not happy with its job? Okay, nobody is raising its hand. Statistically, it's 1 out of 5, because everybody's changing jobs every once in a while, so 1 out of 5 is unhappy, but you're not going out and say like, hey, I hate my job. That's why, you know, you can't indefinitely pimp your profile on LinkedIn or on Xing or something. That's one of the advantages that we have. It's very confidential. And we convinced, meanwhile, like 1.3 million members in Europe to do so. So consumer proposition is very important. We say Experteer, it doesn't mean anything. It has a lot of connotations in there. And we say we claim, accelerate your career. The positioning is the executive career service for leading professionals. A lot of fluffy marketing language, which is really important because we could actually have secretaries, butchers, and other people sign up to the service, which of course would destroy our value proposition to the B2B side. So it's pretty important to have that flavoring around our brand that people say like, smells like for me, or the butcher and the secretary says like, oh, that's just wrong for me. So this is how we kind of like select people at the front door when they come to the site. But once the kind of right audience gets more intrigued with it, they see like, okay, loads of jobs, 60,000 euros and up, and be found in a confidential way by headhunters. That's what we promise. You sign up, it's free, and then we have to deliver. And if we do sell subscriptions, and people do buy. We launched it, as I said, 3.5 years ago out of Munich. We launched it, initial market in Germany. A couple of months after we launched, we figured that if you look into core consumer transaction or subscription models or KPI, we're excellent. So why wait and not go further down the road? We said we go into some larger markets that are very competitive, like the UK. At the same time, we launched a European product in English language, and then we went into France shortly after, and we figured, we tried to figure, is it possible to scale down in smaller markets? So we tried Switzerland. We tried a few more markets, and the last one was actually Italy, and that's also resonates maybe a bit with what some speaker said in the morning. Initially, we planned to go into the Nordics because we had learned Nordics, very developed market, internet penetration, high propensity to pay, blah, blah, blah. But we had this European product in English language where we could measure KPI and look at different geographies. And I like the notion of the gentleman who presented Delticom this morning. We're very numbers driven. So I could tell you, like right now in real time, if we have our model will work better in Tajikistan versus Azerbaijan. Both markets won't work really well, but Italy showed up as a very lucrative market. We launched, and it works really, really well. As a consumer subscription model, PC, not mobile-based in Italy. It works. Then we didn't do any market for a year, new market, because we had to digest the European markets and, like, you know, after we had put the model out to like scale it up to a certain level. We launched Spain just a few weeks ago. It works tremendously. And tomorrow we're going to put out Holland. And with that, we pretty much have the European map covered really well. This whole business entirely will be break-even in April. Half of the geography is break-even. April, the whole thing will be break-even. And the revenue development has been very steady. Over the years, the markets broke even in a nice fashion pretty quickly. And the last year was basically, we had this paradigm of where we have a German business and we have an international business. So we have one team running the green piece and one very colorful team running the colorful piece. At this year, we have a whole new organization where we have, for every color, we have a team and people speak all these languages. They're all based in Munich, also like a reference to some of the thought points in the morning presentations. I think the internationalization model of having a lot of international people in one room, in one building, I think Moneybooker said something similar, very, very important because it can scale much quicker, roll up much quicker, because there's no necessity to always be on the spot. So this year is going to be a fun thing, and the margins are very high. I'm not going to talk too much about numbers, but out of every subscription we're generating, 70% is gross profit. So it's a very nice margin. So the question is, what are we doing next? So next milestone for us is get this whole European business break even and scale it a couple more years. If it keeps developing the way it is, we will have something like a Meetic or a Parship, so a pan-European branded consumer subscription play. That's the minimum base that we want to do, and maybe connecting to what some speakers said before in the afternoon tracks on having like large exits. At the end of the day, you have to make a pretty large business pretty international. There is no single domestic market in Europe that allows for a really, really large valuable business in most of these models that we have. So you have to be very, very global, and I think the companies that presented in the morning really proved that. So we want to go way beyond Europe. We want to go to the US, we want to go to Asia, and we also think about, hey, we're the guys that were the first ones monetizing candidates in a model where everybody is offering something for free, but by now we have more highly earning, highly trained candidates than anybody in Europe. Why shouldn't we be able to make some money on the B2B sides as well? So I think, and that is, as everybody knows, quite a large market. So I think we have a lot ahead. The key thing is not to have that on PowerPoint. I think on PowerPoint it's a pretty nice story, and in reality you have to deliver those things. So for the next 6 months, pretty razor sharp execution on getting a European business to like a really self-sustaining strong growth, which is very profitable, and then we see how far we can drive it from there. Thank you.